Okay, guys, so we're here with one of my amazing friends that I admire so much, and I just wanted to give you, a little bit of a story, inspirational story. So I'm here with Yvette, and she'll be introducing herself here in a little bit. But one of the things that I just want to, from my perspective, this is someone that I admired, and the reason that I admire her is for a lot of different things. So first of all, Yvette, thank you so much for allowing me to interview you.
Yeah.
And so this story goes that I went through a training where Yvette was in that training too for our brokerage, and we got to meet each other and liked each other, and then from there I had the privilege of being hired by Yvette to be her listing agent, and I was able to sell her house. When I met with her, in the process of her listing her house, she was in a crossroad. Remember that, Yvette?
Mm-hmm.
And that crossroad was she was having some health, some health issues, and there was different things going on that was getting her to move to a different city from Austin, Texas, to San Antonio. And one of the things that we talked about was how would it look like her being a real estate agent, and we talked about high level, what would be some of the things that I have experienced, and how I believe that she could do the same thing. One of the things that from her working at the broker previously, she was really good about finding talent, talking to talent. She's very disciplined. So I knew that she was going to do really, really well in real estate. But the difference between Yvette and what makes Yvette so unique is that I get asked all the time, Amanda, I want to get my real estate license, right? And some of them do, some of them don't. But Yvette she's that type of person that if she's gonna do something, she's gonna be all in. She's gonna follow the plan the way it is. And of all I'm talking about thousands of people that have asked me, right, what is that recipe to become a successful real estate agent? Yvette, out of all the people I know, I can count less than 5 people that have been able to take the advice and be able to run with it. And now she's grown. She became from my client and my friend to my client to being a realtor like I am to now she's a colleague, and we're in the same operator level at place, and I've seen grown so much. And obviously she did all the work, you did all the work, Yvette. I was just there to show you a path, and you're able to do that. So tell me a little bit about what was that journey from you from going to realtor to now an operator. What was some of the things that you saw as things that happened that were good as being an agent, and what made you be a successful agent till now?
Okay. Yeah, so thank you for just inviting me to be here. So I think I was very blessed to be around the right people like Amanda. So at the beginning, it was really scary. I was coming off of a corporate job, so going all into real estate was really scary. So I started part-time. I started, I was in an environment at a market center in San Antonio where it allowed me to be around other agents too. So my job was actually to help them, make calls alongside them. And that first year I did 8 deals, and I thought, wow, as a part-time, that's pretty good. Let me go all in. Also because the part-time, it was a world that was a lot for me. I was working 60-hour weeks, right? So like my 40 plus the 20, that's really what it took to be successful as a part-time agent, and it was draining. And so I decided I had to pick one, and I had to just take a risk on myself, right? At the end of the day, if you know that this is something that you feel that you can do and you can be consistent, that's the other thing too, is consistency is key, and discipline. I had to make a decision because now I wasn't going to get a paycheck. I was going to be the paycheck. It was everything that I was going to be putting in to make sure that happened. And I remember I asked you what I should do, and you were like, if you can save 3 months worth of salary, then go all in. And so I decided, to do that. And that was really great advice. Amanda's always been there, whenever I needed to talk through things. So I was super grateful. So fast forward, right? So I part-time, I met my business partner who happened to be the productivity coach out there. And he said, hey, we work really good together. Let's partner up. I wasn't really sure what that meant, but I knew I wanted to learn and grow from that point. So, I had Amanda, I had Tyler, my business partner. So we went in that first year and we did really great. Our sales were, together combined, we were really great. That was the first time I realized partnerships can work. But it's just like anything, like in a relationship, communication is key. So when you find yourself, going through any kind of situations, you need to have somebody there to talk through. So I think that's why partnerships end up working. So fast forward, we did the team thing. My business partner and I, we started growing a team. But there were systems and things that we just didn't have the time to create. That wasn't my strength, right? My strength was talking to people. My strength was being able to go through, just situations. I wanted to be out in the field, and that's where I loved. I did not thrive in the being behind the screen. Even though I knew I could do it, it wasn't driving me. It wasn't my passion. And so I remember one day, doing this on my own, and Amanda had done it, so I'd always link to Amanda, and I was like, what should I do next? Like, I just, this isn't working, and then that's when you had told me about Place. And so, with Place, just like anything, I wanted to make sure I did my research, but it just made sense, because I was seeing all these stories of agents that I knew have success, and Amanda was one of them, and I trusted her, right? And I think it comes down to trust too. If you know these people and you see that things are working, why are you going to recreate that when you know that there's a path, there's an easier path? A lot of times people don't do it because of ego, right? Like, they don't want to do it because they're like, well, I have to give this away, but you have to think bigger picture. What are you trying to build? And with that, if you're building something bigger, then you go further with others, right? There's certain things you're not going to know about, but if you're around the right people, it's only going to help you get there further. And so I think that in this journey is what I've really learned, is being around the right people, to be able to ask the questions that you're going to go through, and then growing from that point.
Yeah, but so from you being an agent to now, how long has it been already?
So I got my license in 2017, right? So it's like I'll have been an agent for 9 years come October. So I went from part-time that first year, went right into full-time the year after, and then got with my business partner then and started building. I've been with Place for 3 years.
Awesome, that's great. So what and you had such a big trajectory in a short amount of time, right? Because you've done what other agents may take them 20 years, or that they may ever accomplish. Right? Because they don't have the right people to talk to, the right partnerships for one reason or another. So that's just been really incredible to see your journey. Walk us through the behind the scenes, how you think, Yvette. Like, how do you take somebody that you talked about trust, like, Yvette, this is a way, right? This is a way to go, right? This is a way to go, and what is it that you tell yourself or talk to yourself about, like, okay, I'm gonna listen and really plug into what other people are doing. How does that work? Because a lot of us will listen to it, but we're not gonna execute upon, and you execute upon things.
Yeah, I think I've historically seen that if I see something that's working, you just gotta trust in the process, right? You need to give it time to work. And so, there were times, that I wanted to quit. There were times where I thought, is this for me? But the pain of going back to a life that I knew I didn't love, it kind of felt like, I don't know if y'all have ever felt this way, but this is what took me into a different world, was like that movie Groundhog's Day. I felt like my life was the same over and over again, and it wasn't exciting for me. It wasn't thrilling. I wasn't making the difference. And I always knew something inside was, I was supposed to be doing something else, something that was going to be more impactful. So that drive in my head and in my heart is what allowed me to release that and trust in this is going to get me there, right? I'm seeing that it's worked for Amanda. I'm seeing that it's worked, you know, for other agents that are in place. I'm seeing this work, like just trust in it, right? And it's kind of like when you first work out, right? You're like, you don't see the success and like, you know, you're building, you know, muscle, and you're just like, you're getting exhausted. Well, yeah, you've never done it before. But then over time, you're like, hey, this is easy. Hey, like I'm starting to feel different. I'm starting to look different, right? And so that was for me, I think, because I know that it's what I just kept telling myself, and I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I didn't give up on the days. It's funny, I've heard this quote before, but I think partnership is really important, because if you have a partner, you kind of have to check with each other. You make sure y'all don't give up on the same day. You help each other through it, right? Because there are times where you're going to talk each other out of stuff, and that's why you have a partner, right? That's why you have somebody that you can go to and that you trust, again, through that. So
no, that's amazing. And so if you were to give someone that is looking at us right now, whether they're an agent, that maybe they've been an agent and they're successful, but they want to grow, well, and they don't just want to grow to being an agent, but they want to be able to grow into being a business person, what would be some of the key things that they should be looking at doing?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, recognize your strength. And then also understand that you want to be in the rooms that you are not the biggest one, right? You want to be in the rooms that you are going to learn from others. You got to let go of that ego. You got to let go of like what the idea has always maybe been ingrained. Oh, it's not going to be your name, or it's not going to be, like, aside from that, what are you trying to build? And then who around you is going to help you build that? I think if you can put yourself in that world and then allow yourself to plug into these systems that are showing up, you know, even though you're like, oh, I don't want to be on the phones all the time, like, you gotta love the boring, because that's what it's gonna take to be successful. And then you gotta always constantly be growing and learning. You cannot think that you're always gonna know everything. Even today, I'm reading stuff, I'm going, you know, to make sure that I'm part of masterminds. I'm constantly trying to see how I can better myself, and I think that takes a lot of it too, just making sure you're constantly improving. So,
well, thank you, Yvette. So if you have any questions, guys, we're gonna put the information below, and you can reach out, you know, to Yvette or myself of our journey, and we want to be able to see other people succeed, and, you know, sharing is caring. So thank you so much for Yvette, for taking the time to talk to me in your journey. I think you're amazing. You're so blessed, and I think your biggest strength is executing, but also believing in the system, right? Doing that, and then just doing everything with excellence. So thank you.
Thank you.